The image of the samurai often brings to mind swords, loyalty, and Bushido. But beneath the armor and discipline lay an economic philosophy that shaped Japan for centuries. Unlike merchants or nobles in other parts of the world, the samurai were not meant to amass great personal fortunes. Instead, their wealth came from a mindset of control, discipline, and balance. Their strategy of less is more may sound counterintuitive in a world obsessed with accumulation, yet it allowed them to build sustainable influence, loyalty, and even financial security without drowning in excess. The samurai's wealth was not measured in overflowing treasure chests, but in rice stipends, disciplined budgeting, reputation, and the intangible power of honor. Strangely enough, their lessons may be more relevant to our modern pursuit of financial freedom than most people realize. In this video, we will uncover 12 principles of samurai wealth that reveal how they built stability and influence without falling into the trap of greed and excess. Before we continue, I wish to let you know that if you want to strategically leverage on ancient wealth wisdom to build and grow generational wealth, you can visit us at ancientwealthwisdom.com after watching this video to check out our best curated ancient wealth building wisdom resources. Or you can check the description and the first comment below for the link. Now to our video, the samurai's wealth strategy, why less was more. 1. Wealth as discipline, not excess. For the samurai, wealth was not about piling up gold or flaunting luxuries. Instead, it was about mastering personal discipline and controlling desires. Bushido, the code of the samurai, demanded that they live with honor, restraint, and a focus on duty rather than indulgence. By limiting unnecessary spending and consumption, samurai preserved both their integrity and their resources. This philosophy turned restraint into an asset. Where other social classes competed to show off riches, samurai wealth lay in the respect they commanded, their martial skills, and their ability to live within their means. Their refusal to chase material excess often gave them more stability than those who were slaves to desire. The principle resonates today in movements like minimalism and financial independence. True wealth, the samurai understood, was not in possessions but in control over one's life. By choosing less, they paradoxically created more lasting power. 2. The land as the foundation of wealth. Unlike merchants who dealt in currency, samurai wealth was measured by land and the rice it produced. Landowners granted stipends of rice to samurai in return for their service, tying their livelihood directly to agricultural productivity. Rice became more than food. It was the currency of loyalty and the lifeblood of the economy. A samurai's worth was often assessed by how many koku of rice he received annually, with one koku representing enough rice to feed a man for a year. This system ensured that wealth was rooted in tangible resources rather than fluctuating markets. By grounding wealth in land and rice, the samurai avoided the instability of speculation. Their income was steady and practical, teaching a timeless lesson. Wealth tied to real assets carries more long-term security than abstract numbers on paper. 3. Stipends instead of salaries. Unlike modern jobs that pay in money, the samurai received stipends in rice. This system forced them to think carefully about allocation. They had to convert their rice into goods, services, and essentials, while ensuring their families were sustained throughout the year. This built-in budgeting system prevented reckless spending. Unlike sudden cash windfalls, rice was not easily wasted. Converting it to currency required deliberate action, reinforcing discipline in financial management. The stipend system demonstrates how structure can create stability. By receiving wealth in a slower, measured form, the samurai learned to live within limits, something modern earners often struggle with in a consumer-driven world. 4. The samurai's relationship with merchants. Although samurai looked down on merchants socially, they often relied on them financially. Merchants converted rice stipends into currency and provided credit when samurai needed liquidity. This relationship revealed a tension between honor and practicality. Samurai sometimes accumulated debts because their stipends were fixed, but their expenses could rise. Merchants exploited this dependence, creating a subtle power shift in which those who were socially inferior often had financial leverage over the warrior class. This dynamic illustrates an important truth. Social status does not always equal financial power. The samurai may have carried swords, but merchants controlled the flow of money. In modern terms, it reminds us that financial literacy often outweighs titles or positions. 5. Wealth in reputation and honor. For the samurai, true wealth was not measured in gold but in reputation. A man who upheld Bushido with loyalty, courage, and generosity was considered wealthy in honor, even if he lived with modest means. This mindset created a culture where wealth was tied to intangible assets, trust, relationships, and legacy. A samurai who betrayed his honor could not buy back his reputation with money, but one who lived honorably could inspire loyalty and respect that lasted generations. This principle still holds power today. Reputation and credibility often open doors that money cannot. The samurai remind us that wealth is not only financial, it is also the value of one's character in the eyes of others. 6. The power of minimalism. Samurai culture embraced simplicity. Their homes, clothing, and possessions reflected a minimalist aesthetic rooted in Zen philosophy. This wasn't poverty, but intentional restraint designed to sharpen focus on essentials. By stripping life of excess, samurai avoided distractions and strengthened their ability to endure hardship. A simple lifestyle ensured that they were not weakened by luxury or dependent on fragile comforts. This approach mirrors modern minimalism, which argues that reducing possessions creates freedom and clarity. The samurai lived this centuries ago, showing that intentional simplicity can be a wealth strategy in itself. 7. Investing in skills, not trinkets. The greatest investment for a samurai was not gold or luxury items, but training. They poured time and resources into martial arts, strategy, poetry, and calligraphy, believing that personal skill outlasted material wealth. A sword could be lost, but skill with it could not. Education and mastery ensured that a samurai remained valuable regardless of fortune or circumstance. This philosophy elevated human capital over material accumulation. In today's terms, the samurai valued lifelong learning and personal development. They knew that the strongest form of wealth is knowledge and skill, which no one can take away. 8. Preparedness for uncertainty. Samurai lived with the constant possibility of war, political upheaval, or death. Their financial philosophy reflected this awareness. By keeping life simple and avoiding excess, they ensured they could adapt quickly to changing circumstances. Excess wealth tied a person down, making them vulnerable to loss. The samurai believed that lightness, both in possessions and in attachments, created resilience in the face of uncertainty. This mindset is echoed in modern financial planning. Emergency funds, low debt, and flexibility in lifestyle create a kind of financial armor. The samurai's philosophy prepared them for the unpredictable turns of life, a lesson still vital today. 9. Generosity as wealth. Samurai believed that generosity was a mark of true wealth. Giving to one's retainers, community, or family reinforced loyalty and demonstrated abundance of spirit. Hoarding wealth was seen as dishonorable, while generosity elevated status and honor. This redistribution of wealth was not only moral but strategic. By sharing resources, samurai strengthened networks of support that could be relied upon in times of need. Modern philanthropists echo this idea. Wealth that is shared creates impact beyond the individual, turning money into influence and legacy. The samurai knew that giving away could sometimes make one richer in the long run. 10. Wealth in simplicity of death. The samurai's ultimate test was their readiness for death. Wealth had little meaning in the face of mortality, and the samurai prepared for death by living simply and honorably. They believed possessions could not follow them, but their actions could. This detachment from materialism gave them a unique freedom. They lived fully without fear of loss, for they had already accepted the impermanence of wealth. In a modern world where death is often avoided as a topic, this perspective is radical. It reminds us that true wealth lies not in what we own, but in how we live and the values we leave behind. 11. Wealth as service to the clan. Samurai wealth was always tied to service. Their stipends were granted in exchange for loyalty to their lords, and their resources were meant to sustain both themselves and the families they served. Wealth was not purely personal, it was collective. This sense of shared responsibility ensured stability within clans. A samurai's prosperity reinforced the strength of his lord, and vice versa. Wealth flowed in networks of obligation rather than individualistic pursuit. Modern parallels can be seen in family businesses or communal investments, where resources are pooled for shared growth. The samurai teach us that wealth rooted in service builds bonds that outlast personal fortune. 12. The timeless lesson: less as more. At its core, the samurai's wealth strategy rested on one paradox: less was more. By limiting desires, living simply, and investing in honor, skill, and relationships, they built forms of wealth that could not easily be lost. Excess wealth often enslaves, but the samurai's restraint freed them. They showed that minimalism, discipline, and honor created lasting stability and influence. Their strategy reveals that sometimes true richness is not in accumulation, but in subtraction. In our modern age of overconsumption and financial anxiety, the samurai's wisdom feels strikingly relevant. Their message is clear: wealth is not about what you own, but how little you need to live with freedom, resilience, and honor. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and share this video if you found it insightful and helpful. And subscribe to this channel to continue discovering and learning ancient wisdom and secrets that you can leverage on to build generational wealth in today's world. Also, turn on the bell notification so you're always the first to be notified whenever a new video is uploaded here. And don't forget to visit us at ancientwealthwisdom.com to check out our best curated ancient wealth building secrets and wisdom resources. Or check the description and the first comment below for the link. See you in our other videos.